Okay. Yep, we're doing this now. So, um, hold on. Some very important things we must attend to is seeing if the audio works. That is a very important thing when starting the stream. It might take me a moment as I wait for this damn thing to load. And once I verify that the stream is like audibly safe and sound, we will continue on our journey through this book and through Risk of Rain at the same time. Let's see where my focus takes me. It really depends today. Alright. It's good to hear it now. Let's see. Let's see where my focus takes me. It really depends today. Alright. So, that might be a little bit better. It's too loud, honestly. Honestly? Oh, now I notice that. I don't even think. Alright, so I just came up with this idea right now, so I'm going off a leaf. This book is called 21 Great Stories, The Perel by John Steinbeck, To Build a Fire by Jack London. I just came up with this idea right now, so I'm going. Okay, that sounds nice, I think. Feels pretty good. An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Pierce. The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, a very knowable one. The Lady or the Tiger by Frank Stockton. The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. Evelyn by James Joyce, and 14 other timeless tales. Masterpieces of some of the finest writers ever to make words come alive on paper, the description reads. The stories in this volume have been selected to represent the full spectrum of the storyteller's art. Here are works of chilling mystery, far-out fantasy, superb humor, highly charged symbolism, and enthralling human drama. Given sharpened focus through insightful editorial commentary, each of these tales stands distinctive in style and vision, and all are totally memorable reading experiences. 21 great stories. Alright. I'm gonna make this happen somehow. So, we're gonna start with the first couple of paragraphs at the beginning of the book before it tells you the title of the book. I guess is like a introduction or something. While I play apparently the easiest character ever. And let's see. Of course, with sacrifice. Because who needs chess, right? A crowded railway compartment becomes a microcosm of a world at war. Let's exit the escape pod. A man alone faces the inscrutable power of nature. What is that word? It's torn into two, as it couldn't fit all the way on the page, the word. So it's a little difficult to read, honestly. Inscrutable power of nature, yes. A student at a private school has his first cruel lesson in injustice. A beautiful woman sacrifices all she holds dear to redeem one terrible mistake. All fascinating story topics, I'm sure. Ever since the first prehistoric spinner of tales held this audience spellbound around the flickering fire, storytelling has been a vital facet of man's existence in these 21 great short man's existence. Wait. In these 21 great short undimmed. No. Great short stories, the reader will find this age-old magic undimmed, yes. Here in the hands of the finest of masters, old and new, in this power to eliminate, as vividly as sheet lightning, the world around us and the world within. We are not reading about the editors. 21 great stories. And I died. I got too entranced by this book. The 21 greatest stories of mankind that ever could write. Edited by Abraham H. Lass and Norma L. Tasman. These are probably not for the faint of heart. Wow. The foreword. The foreword of 21 stories. Of the greatest ever written. There are many ways to read this collection of short stories, and all of them are right. One obvious way, of course, is to start with the first story and go on each of the others. In turn, reading them in order in which they appear. But few of us would care to sample with such formality the variety of our stories. Oh, did I drop it? Did I get any items? I swear, that's why I died last time. It's because I had no items. It's not because I'm bad at the game. Alright. The short story demands only our time and our attention. In return for these, it shows us our world and our own lives in ways we may not have seen it before. With strangely familiar views. Oh, there's an item. Hold on a second. I don't like those guys. They're the easiest to avoid, so they're weak. The short story demands only our time and our attention. In return for these, it shows us our world and our own lives in ways we may not have seen them before. with freshness compounded of new views of the familiar, and strangely familiar views of the new and unknown. The short story focuses us to participate in lives that we were never lived. Wait, we were never lived. Does it really read like this? Yeah, the short story forces us to participate in lives that were never lived, and it enables us, yes, through this participation, to recognize that our experiences. Oh, let's do one of these. Maybe we'll get something. Oh, that'll work. And okay. The fictional lives we encounter in the short term story become, for a time, our own lives, with one important difference. When we finish the story, we leave these lives behind, but distill from them a heightened perception, an increased sensitivity, an enlarged compassion, and the dividends of joy and delight, and released from terror and sorrow. The short story is a unique art form. Its impact is immediate and concentrated. The moment in the story is now, well, often with only hints of what went before, and only a, a suggestion of what comes after. Okay. Either I'm getting lucky or I'm just not dying that much. Oh, it's only the beginning of the stage. Well, we could do this, I guess. I'll either regret this, or this will be easy. It's one of the two. Oh, no, 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 no. But that will help. The unanswered why generated by the story sends us searching deep. Oh yeah, there's a giant or something. Okay. Is now often and only hints of what went before, and only a suggestion of what comes after. The unanswered why. Excuse me, I'll get that. Why generated by the story sends us searching deep into our own. And wait for a moment, I'm going to turn the page. Experience and understanding. In a very real sense that you are actually in the thing. Like the story we're reading. is so real that you experience it as you read it. So they actually put you in this story. You are in the story now. Good night. I don't think I left anything up here, so we should go this way. Alright. They have something to say, all of us, in our time. We hope the reader will find them as fresh and exciting as we have. From Brooklyn, New York. Kaboom. Alright. War. Luigi Pirandello. This one's called War. It's kind of what I'm doing right now. Against alien space bugs, of course. In this short story, wait. Pirandello presents his readers with a brief snatch of conversation that eliminates each of. Wait. Okay. Ah. I gotta knock this phone over. It's in my way. Okay. But this very brief vignette is not only about war, it is also about husbands and wives, about parents and children, about strangers on a train, and about the vast chasm which sometimes separate the things that people feel from the words that they say. Ah, yes. They sometimes separate the things that people feel from the words that they say. Yes. The characters in this story stand out as distinct individuals, although not one of them has a name. The omission of names is as subtle as it is deliberate. The people in this story belong to no particular time or place. We know their names. They are our own. Because they are us, and this is how we will react in these situations. All of us. It's human nature. It's been studied 1,000,000,000,000,000,000 times. We can only be right for the 100th trillionth time. We've studied it 1,000,000,000,000 times, so we know every aspect of human nature. This is exactly how you react in these situations. This story is so real, you go straight into it. They put you right in there. Let's see if that's true. Luigi Pirandello. 1867 to 1936. Won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1934. Oh, you thought the story was going to start? No, it's just going to take a minute to talk about how great it is. 2 years before his death, his life began on the island of Sicily. The setting for several of his novels, in addition to short stories, Pirandello wrote poetry and plays, the most famous being Six Characters in Search of an Author. Writers do have it made. They do. Alright. War. I will probably censor things I do not like to say. So be warned, you may not get the full context of the story. This is the first one. It's called War. And everybody loves war, especially war crimes. The meme. Not actual war crimes, I think. I don't know if I should love those or not. Maybe not. I don't know. It says it has crimes in the word. It sounds like a bad thing, I guess. I don't know. Type if you like war crimes in the comments below. Is that something you vibe with? Is that a funny meme? Funny joke? Alright. See if I cannot center this right now. I'll just have to read it. Hopefully like this. Okay. The passengers who had left Rome for the night express. This book is a little binded together, so it might be hard to read the end of the word, as it's blending into the other side of the book. This makes it unreadable sometimes. You don't get the full word, actually. It's quite annoying. Alright. Thank you. No, thank you. The passengers who have left Rome by the night express had to stop until dawn at the small station of Fabriano in order to continue their journey by the small old-fashioned local joining the main line with Sulaimanna. Are you in the story yet? I just read like a sentence. That was a full sentence. It's like, it looks like a tiny paragraph. At dawn, in the stuffy and smoky second class carriage, in which 5 people had already spent the night, a bulky woman in deep mourning was hoisted in the... Hold on. Wait, are they talking about me? Oh my god. Don't do that to me. I wasn't ready. It's just a book. They don't know you. Right. Behind her, puffing and blinking, followed her husband, a tiny man, thin and weakly, with no spine. I didn't... That was not in there. I didn't mean to put that one in. Oh, wait, hold on. A tiny man, thin and weakly, his face death white, his eyes small and bright, and looking shy and uneasy. Having at last taken a seat, he politely thanked the passengers who had helped his wife and who had made room for her. Then he turned around to the woman, trying to pull down the collar of her coat, and politely inquire, "Are you all right, dear?" The wife, instead of answering, pulled up her collar, again to her eyes, so as to hide her face. "Nasty world," muttered the husband with a sad smile, and he felt it in his duty to explain to his traveling companions that the poor woman was to be pitied, for the war was taking away from her her only son, a boy of 20, to whom both had devoted their entire life, even breaking up their home at Sulmana to follow him to Rome, where he had to go as a student, then allowing him to volunteer for war with an assurance, however, that at least for 6 months he would not be sent to the front, and now all of a sudden receiving a wire saying that he was due to leave in 3 days' time and asking them to go and see him off. The woman under the big coat was twisting and wriggling at times, growling like a wild animal, feeling uncertain that all these explanations would not have aroused even a shadow of sympathy from those people who most likely were in the same plight as herself. One of them, who had been listening with particular attention, said, "You should thank God that your son is only leaving now for the front. Mine has been sent there the first day of the war. He had already come back twice, wounded, and been sent back again to the front. What about me? I have 2 sons and 3 nephews at the front," said another passenger. "Maybe, but in our case, it is our only son," ventured the husband. "Man, all your sons are out there, but this is our only one. I mean, it would. You guys have enough love to go around, right?" For all the other sons, if one son is sacrificed, listen, you're not gonna miss him as much as we are with our only son. It's just not the same, man. You have all those other sons to love. Pity us more because we have our only one and only son going to the front lines for war. A war untold. What difference can it make? A fair question. You may spoil your only son with excessive attention, but you cannot love him more than you would all your other children, if you had any. Wait, what's a sentence? Who wrote this? Hold on. But you cannot love him more than you would all your other children, if you had any. Paternal love is not like bread that can be broken into pieces and split amongst the children in equal shares. A father gives all his love to each one of his children without discrimination, whether it be 1 or 10. And if I am suffering now for my 2 sons, I am not suffering half for each of them, but doubled. True, true, sighed the embarrassed husband. But suppose, of course we all hope, it will never be your case. A father has 2 sons. I am not suffering half for each of them. A father has 2 sons at the front, and he loses one of them. There is still another one left to console him. While. While. Yes, answered the other, getting cross. A son left to console him, but also a son left for whom he must survive. While in the case of the father of an only son, if the son dies, the father can die too, and put an end to his distress. Hold on. Oh, this just gives me more gold. I don't need that. I need power and speed would be nice too. Here's something. Still nothing worth anything, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, that went a little dark, don't you think? So what do you think? Do you think you would miss your son who dies in the war just as much as you would miss your only son if you had an only son? Would you miss your child more than the father who misses his other son, but still has his other son to console him? Fair questions must be asked. What do you think about that? At least the other son is there. Like, what do you even say? What do you even say to that? Alright. Yes, answer the other. A son left to console him, but also a son left for whom he must survive. Nonsense, interrupted another traveler, a fat, red-faced man with bloodshot eyes of the palest gray. He was panting. From his bulging eyes seemed to spurt inner violence of an uncontrollable vitality, which his weakened body could hardly contain. Yikes. I did not collect nearly enough to get through this. Oh, I need to get something in the boss battle real quick. Just drop one thing. Come on. Oh, that will help, actually. Thank you. Wait. Is that a thing? That's not a thing! Dang. I thought it was one of those lotuses or something. Okay. Again, I don't have enough material for this. Might or might not make it with this one. Alright, that will help a lot, actually. Oh, let's take that. Whoa, give me that. Give me that. Hey. Thank you. What will this do for me? There's no chest around here. I think it also helps when you activate the teleporter. It's not really gonna do much against this boss, though, will it? Probably not. This fight is failing me. And he's probably gonna explode soon. Let's just be. Oh, here we go. That will help. Yep, there he goes. What a genius. He exploded absolutely once I was behind the thing that protected me. He is a jellyfish, after all. He doesn't have much to think about, I don't think. Not a lot on a jellyfish's mind, I imagine. He has nothing to worry about. He's just, like, trying to kill me and stuff. What? That did not work. Oh, I'm glad I'm back here. I guess it did work, because I won. Is there something, anything up here? Something worth saving other than gold? Which I don't need. I don't need gold. That's gold, isn't it? Of course it is. Damn you. I knew it was too, and I still went for it. Like I needed it. It's all gonna get taken away from me. What a joke. So back to this conundrum. So if your son dies in the war and you have another son to console you, and someone's only son dies in the war, would it be the same thing, the same amount of grief you would feel? Do you think that if, like, another son you have there to console you is there to console you, the grief will lessen because of your son's death? Just type that in the comments below, please. It is very interesting things that you should know about yourself when it comes to these situations. You might as well figure it out before it happens to you. Alright. Oh yeah, what's this gonna get me? Gold? Ugh. Ridiculous. Okay. I'll stop asking the question now. I had to relive it just to think about it. If I were in that situation, would I be less grieved? Do I have to say it again? You guys get it right. I'm sure you do. I've only said it like 3 times. Um, Nonsense, interrupted another traveler. Oh, we read this. Yeah. Nonsense, he repeated, trying to cover his mouth with his hand so as to hide the 2 missing front teeth. Nonsense. Do we give life to our children for our own benefit? I mean, some parents be like that. The other travelers stared at him in distress, the only who had had his son at the first at the front since the first day of the war side. It's like, I'd only go there myself if only I weren't so, like, old and stuff. Maybe I might be put there in the front of the war, but, you know, my son had to do it for me, so. Of course, uh, those poor sons, born for war. Right. Gosh, did it get dark in here, or is it just me? Yeah. This feels like a dark story already. I want to keep reading it. I keep almost dying. The space music is important. It really does take you into the story. I'll also try to play. I like playing this game a lot. Oh, look at that. Let's do it. Just to kill that thing. And that one over there. Oh, not dead already. Okay. How am I gonna get through this full thing? If I can't prop it up well enough for me to read it without having to, like, bend the paper backwards. You are right. Our children do not belong to us. They belong to the country. Is the next sentence. Bosh! Retorted the fat traveler. Do we think of the country when we give life to our children? Our sons are born because they must be born. And when they come to life, they take our own life with them. Okay then. I didn't know that about having a son. Right. That just means, just a nice way of saying, I will pass my fatherly wisdom down upon my son and see how it turns out. Alright. Okay, let's just try to get this over with. Well, goodbye, world. If only, if only there were a bunch of chests in the area, I could, like, firecracker them to death. Oh, this is a great boss battle. I love when there are three of them. So hard, so difficult. Might not make it. Oh. Oh, look, there's an item. I love those. They pop out of nowhere. Another one. Oh, it's a credit card. Gain 10% cash back on all purchases. Thank you, Golden Item, for all your lovely cash help. All that gold I'd be making go into places, you know? It'd be great for when the golden portal appears, I guess. If that decides to show up. And we could read for hours. Debatably. It's such a grim book. Don't you guys love it? It brought up such a moral dilemma, and then it brought us up with the sad reality that all our children are made for the country to use for war. Sad reality. I'm not sure if that's real. That could be. I I'm not conforming nor denying it on this channel. This is just a story I read. And I'm now reading on here. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah, wah. No, wah, 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 wah. I wonder if my Q item will work here. Just go ahead and use it. Face to face with the enemy. Hey! I don't feel like it today. Maybe the Q item will work? Oh, I can't go back to the same joke over and over again. That'll get repetitive. Is that really a joke? Did you laugh? Tell me if you laughed to boost my self-esteem in the comments below. Wow. Okay, you don't have to boost my self-esteem now. I deserve that one. Listen. Ah. Our sons are born because, well, because they must be born, and when they come to life, they take our own life with them. This is the truth. We belong to them, but they never belong to us. And when they reach 20, they are exactly what we were at their age. We too had a father and a mother, but there were so many other things as well: girls, cigarettes, illusions, new ties, and the country, of course, whose call all we would have answered when we were 20, even if father and mother had said no. Now, at our age, the love of our country is still great, of course, but stronger than is the love for our children. Is there any one of us here who wouldn't gladly take his son's place at the front if he could? Huh. You think you would? Oh, why didn't you? Too old, I guess? Hmm. Hmm. Why then, continued the fat man, shouldn't we consider the feelings of our children when they are 20? Yes, yes, yes. If country exists, if country is a natural necessity like bread, of which each of us must eat in order not to die of hunger, somebody must go to defend it. And our sons go when they are 20. They don't want tears. They don't want tears because if they die inflamed and happy. If they die inflamed and happy. I am speaking, of course, of decent boys. Who wrote this? Now, if one dies young and happy without having the ugly sides of life, the boredom of it, the pettiness, the bitterness of disillusion, what more could we ask for him? Everyone should stop crying. Everyone should laugh, as I do. I died. Everyone should laugh as I do at that. I freaking died, man. That's so funny. Ah, now if one dies young and happy without having the ugly sides of life, the boredom of it. Right, right, right. Everyone should stop crying. Everyone should laugh as I do. Or at least thank God as I do. Because my son, before dying, sent me a message. A message? What did it say? Before he died, he sent me a message, right? Saying that he was dying satisfied of having me a message. Wait, he was dying satisfied of having ended his life in the best way he could have wished. That is why, as you see, I do not even wear mourning. He shook his head, fawn coat, so as to show it. His livid lip over his missing teeth was trembling. His eyes were watery and motionless. Mm. And soon after he ended with a shrill laugh, which might well have been a sob. Quite so, agreed the others. Had been sitting and listening, had for the last 3 months tried to find in the words of her husband and something that might show her how a mother should. What should a mother do? How a mother should resign herself to send her son not even to death, but to a probable danger of life. Yet not a word had she found amongst the many which had been said, and her grief had been greater. And I'm jumping off the edge, aren't I? I cannot save myself. Wow, I collected a Q item. I wonder if I'll get to use it before I die. Yeah. Ah, that's cool. I think I'm gonna die right here. And goodbye. Oh, Just one more. Just one more item, huh? Where could it be? You tell me. In the comments below. Where is the item? Alright. The woman who bundled in the corner under her coat had been sitting and listening, had, for the last 3 months, tried to find in the words of her husband and her friends something to console her in her deep sorrow, something that might show her how a mother should resign herself to send her son, not even to death, but to a probable danger of life. Yet not a word had she found amongst the many which had been said, and her grief had been greater in seeing that nobody, as she thought, could share her feelings. But now the words of the traveler amazed and almost stunned her. She suddenly realized that it wasn't the others who were wrong and who could not understand her, but herself who could not rise up to the same height of those fathers and mothers willing to resign themselves without crying, not only to the departure of their sons, but even to their death. Ah. She lifted her head, she bent over from her corner, trying to listen with great attention to the details which the fat man was giving to his companions about the way his son had fallen as a hero for his king and his country, happy and without regrets. I regret going into war, I regret dying. Why am I fighting right now? What's the point? I guess someone's trying to kill us. Oh, why would they do that? Intolerance or something? I should not get political on this channel. This is not about politics today. It's about war, or something like that. It seemed to her that she had stumbled into a world which she had never dreamed of. A world so far unknown to her. Where is that? Thank you. And she was so pleased to hear everyone joining in congratulating the brave father who could so stoically speak of his child's death. Then, suddenly, just as if she had heard nothing of what had been said, and almost as if waking up from a dream, she turned. Wait. She turned to the old man, right? Yeah, asking him. Then, is your son really dead? Everybody stared at her. The old man, too, turned to look at her, fixing his great, bulging, horribly watery, light gray eyes deep in her face for some little time. He tried to answer, but words failed him. I'm gonna be dying a lot. This book is just taking me in its story. I can knock it out. Just came up with like 9 adjectives for his gray eyes. Wait. Describing words, right? Yeah. Okay. For some little time he tried to answer, but words failed him. He looked and looked at her, almost as if only then, at that silly, incongruous question, He had suddenly realized at last that his son was really dead, gone forever, forever. His face contracted, horribly distorted. Then he snatched in haste a handkerchief from his pocket, and to the amazement of everyone, broke into harrowing, heart-rending, uncontrollable sobs. Oh, that's the end of that story. That was very short. So, it's as if, like, she looked at this guy, and she understood what he was saying. But then the man suddenly realized the importance of it when he glared with his watery gray eyes or whatever into her face, deeply, that is, only to realize his son was dead forever, and he'll never get to talk to him about war again. Tragedy. A tale as old as time. Well, Eve in Darkness by Catchy Hurlbutt. Hurl? But this delicate little story depicts the world of a sensitive child whose innocence transforms ugliness into delight. But it is a world that cannot last. We know that the Victoria of the story will keep whispering her wicked little secrets, but that is another story for the moment. At least we are all permitted to share a very precious time. A time. Hold on a second. Let's see what this does. No, this cannot outweigh this, right? Well, sort of, I guess. Wait, I did something, yes. Oh, if only I got more batteries. Oh, I should probably start the thing now. Oh, let's go find it real quick. See if we can make it to stage 3 this time. While reading Eve in Darkness. For the moment, at least. Well, if there's anyone who is in the stream and commenting, I'm not reading any comments, but if you're there, thank you. Maybe I should look, but then I would have to use another hand. And I'm incredibly lazy. But thank you if you decide to actually comment what I tell you to. And, you know, just like chilling with me on this book. It's pretty cool. I always liked literature, so it's nice to share it. I've read most of this book, not all of it. Some stories are going to be new to me. Hey. Alright. For the moment at least, we are permitted to share a very precious time. A time when evil does not exist. Through careful selection of detail. Through meticulous attention to color and texture and sound, the author recreates for us the childhood we once knew and remembered with nostalgia. Eve in Darkness. That little marble blank was so lovely. She was the loveliest thing I have ever seen. In the corner of my grandmother's dim, austere living room, She stood on the pedestal like a small, bright ghost. I was about 5 when I used to stand and gaze up at her with admiration and delight. Oh, this will help a lot. Wow, I should really start the teleporter. I thought that her toes and her fingers were beautiful as anything about her. They were long and narrow and expressive. She stood slightly bowed, and the delicate slenderness of her emphasized the roundness of her blank, which were like the apple she held in her fingers. I wonder now who she was. I think she may have been Aphrodite, and the apple was the golden prize for the fairest, the faithful judgment of Paris. But Victoria, my cousin, who was older than I, said she was Eve, and I believed her. Rem- ah, well, we'll find the teleporter someday, I'm sure. Mm, I'm sure I passed it. Maybe? Oh no. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's crazy. Ooh, is that an item? That is an item, and that's a very good item for this character. Yes. I love that item. Wadushki, yeah. Alright. Hmm. Okay. We observed the quietness of that room, Eve and I, as we thought we were conspirators. I never talked to her, or even whispered to her, as I did to the blackened bronze of Pallas Athena in the hall. But in the quietness I considered many things standing before her, and she received my considerations with a faint musing smile I found infinitely satisfying. Others came into the room, and she talked as though the quietness was nothing. Molly, the Irishwoman, who cleaned, bustled about with a desk cloth, muttering and sighing. Victoria even shouted there. Only my grandmother did not shatter the quietness because she had the kind of voice that only brushed against it. Callers were the worst for sitting with teacups and smelting of strange scents. Okay. Hmm. Uh, where on earth is this teleporter? Right. Okay. Okay. Da, 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 da. Mm. Oh, wait, I walked towards it. I walked towards it. I did not die, though. That's great. There we go. I love that. I love that. I love when that happens. Honestly, the best. Can't complain. Say la vie, adios. All that jazz. Ay, ay, ay. Callers were the worst, for sitting with teacups and smelling of strange scents, they threatened never to leave, but to sit forever, and say in my old continuous voices, "We really must go now, and my dear promise you will come soon. And where have I put my gloves?" Believe they did, and after the teacups had been removed and the carpet sweeper run over with the crumbs, I would go back to the room alone and stand before Eve to consider, often as not, the reason for one of the callers, wearing a velvet band around her wrinkled old throat. My cousin Victoria said that it was because her throat had been cut by a maniac, and she wore the velvet band to hide the terrible scar. I suspected that this was not the truth, but it was interesting to consider. Eve smiled. It might have been the truth. Eve smiled because of the thing she knew. She knew that I had handled the snuff boxes. Uh, you guys are filming snuff? That's not good. Why would you do that? Disgusting, man. What the hell? Bruh. Now that is not sanitary. You can't do that. Alright, hold on. I know that's not what they meant. Alright. You don't need to watch that. You don't need to know what that is. If you don't know what it is, God bless you. No. No, I'm not one for handing out blessings. Believing in God is a controversial topic these days. So it's like, what even is there to say about it anymore? I, oh, that will be lovely. Thank you. Okay. I have been forbidden to touch. Some of them were silver, but some of them enameled with radiant miniatures painted on the lids. And when I looked closely at the faces, and the eyes gazed back at me, bold and bright, Eve knew that at 4:30 I went to wait, I went to the front window to stick out my tongue at the wolfish paper boy, to whom I had been told to be very kind because he was so much less fortunate than I. Okay. Struggle makes you kind. Financial struggle makes you kind. Ah, right, right. Alright, now let's go find it. I Yeah. Oh, fine. I tried to leave it. I never really used them too much. Do you use your lunar coins? Type about the comments below. How many do you have by now? All of them? All of them that you collected since you bought the game? Da 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 di 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 da 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 da. Oh, that helps a lot. Da 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 da. I da da da. All right. Yay! I'm getting drunk. And I got 2 of these. Perfect. Okay. Alright, let's see where else we can go. Here we go. Alright, let's see if my superior strengthfulness. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Right. Hey. I. Hold on. I'm trying to get the gold here. We'll make it to the 3rd level. We'll say we've succeeded with our task I set out to do. Hopefully we'll make it to a couple more too. Got one. Alright, this. And we did that. And we get that. And we get this. And... I'm invincible now. I could read this book for the rest of the game. Oh, why don't I start? I just stand here. Okay, here we go. She knew that I was deathly afraid of the ragman, who drove over from the east side now, and then bawling, "I cash old clothes." East side now, and then bawling, "I cash old clothes." What? You couldn't really tell what he was saying. Oh, this will become handy. Yay. Let's go. I'm not reading this. I laughed at Victoria and hoped that she didn't know how afraid I was, but Eve knew. Sometimes I only considered Eve herself because of her loveliness. When the room was dim, she gleamed in the shadowy corner, but when the sun came into the room in the morning, she dazzled until she seemed to be made of light presses into hardness. And the clearness of her was cleaner than anything I could think of, cleaner than my grandmother's kids' gloves, cleaner than witch hazel on a white handkerchief. Ah, there's my fire. Oh, sure, this will come in handy. Yeah. Just do everything for me. Ah, where is it? There, yeah? Alright. And the cleanness of her was cleaner than anything I could think of, cleaner than my... As I stood before Eve one afternoon, Victoria came up behind me so silently I did not hear her. "What are you doing?" She asked suddenly. Oh, I wonder what she's asking about. I jumped and turned to find her smiling a wide, thick smile. Oh. With her eyes fully open and glassy, nothing I said and an instinctive flash of guilt died away. Yeah, for it was true. I was doing nothing, but she continued to stare at me and and smiled fixedly until I lowered my eyes and started to move away. Wait, what? Do you know what that is? She asked slyly, and touched the apple Eve held in her hand, in her fingers. Eh. I'm a killing machine, rages inside of me, making me... Oh, wait. Release the rockets. Yeah. Sure got them. Hmm. Oh, what a convenient thing to get at this point. Finish him off. Yay. Coin gun. Now we found a use for them, I guess. What kind of fruit? I asked, backing away. No, she said, smiling more intensely. Wait, I want to start from up here. Oh, this is a harder area. Uh, oh, this is where I die. This. Ah. Oh, goodness, no. I swear, this book is really good the more you read it. Try. I still didn't get it. Oh. Should I just collect some stuff? Da 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 da. Okay, I guess we could go now. That will help a lot. Give me this, please. Thank you. Huh? Yeah. Whoa. I did it. It made it. Yes. Alright. On Earth. I don't know about that one. Create a clone of you for 30 seconds. Oh, that would be fun to play around with. I haven't had a chance, really. Goodbye. Guess I could have looked for one of those bots, but there's really no time. Look, we found a healing bot. That'll help. And we'll have all the coins we need, because we won't be shooting them at the enemies. But man, the time on that's long. Guess I have to go over there. There we go. I told you, it's whatever interests me, so... Right now I'm interested in seeing what this is. No! No! I'll never get to see it now. Whatever it was. What? On, why? Why I must do that? I've never had that happen before. My item. My green item. It's gone. But we're gonna get this healing drone, so that's a plus. Alright. Wait. As well, right? See if there's anything. Oh. I'm definitely gonna do this at the beginning, but I don't see myself, like, you know, like, getting there to the teleporter quite yet, so I'll wait another couple minutes. Aye. Oh, I found the teleporter. I did. Not going to the moon yet, forget it. Zai. The eye. Oh, I was gonna say that. I said I was gonna wait for a couple minutes until the Q item was done. Oh, we did not. Oh. Oh, okay, I'll just... That's fine, I guess. Barely did an inch of damage. Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. Let's bring that clone out. Hopefully it'll do a good bit of damage somehow. Right in the eye. Ah. Oh. Oh. That's no good. That's no good. That laser man, that sucks. Just follows me everywhere. Oh. Oh, good shipping request form. Very good. Alright. Another clone, here we go. Help me out, please. Oh. Another one. Here we go. Should end it. Fair enough. That was quite a battle. Now, maybe if I die, I'll continue reading the story. I'm now enthralled by it, trying to win the game. This story bores me to death. I was preoccupied with the sorrow that surrounded Eve in her darkened hour. I was so preoccupied. Oh. Hmm. Let's see what else. Okay. Um, taking damage from enemy skills over time. Yeah. See if we can find something different. Oh. Wow, the game's practically giving these to me now. It always goes like this. You feel high and mighty. You feel like you could kill anything, and then you get to the next level, and you die immediately. It happens every time. Right, we can go through a gold portal, and we can get hella beefed up. Yeah, that's right. Gonna be super beefed. Ay. Then I could read my story. I'm gonna continue with that once we get to the gold portal. See how far we can go. Wait. Huh. Okay. Oh, walked right past him. Wow. All eyes on this one, pal. I look at how easy that was. It was so easy. So easy I could cry. uh, wow. Oh. Okay. And we made it to this level. Infinite items level. Infinite death level, I guess. See what I mean? You glide it through the whole part, and then you go to the next level, and it's just like one hit, and you're done. Uh, You're done. Then don't get hit. Get good. Get better. I got you. Got you. Wow, this story is almost over. I jumped. Oh my goodness. Even darkness. The little marble blank was so lovely. Just a recap. Eve smiled because of the things she knew. She knew that I had handled the snuff boxes. We passed that. As I stood before Eve one afternoon, Victoria came up behind me so silently. I did not hear her. What are you doing? She asked suddenly. I jumped and turned to find her smiling a wide, fixed smile with her eyes fully open and glassy. Nothing, I said, and an instinctive flash of guilt died away. For it was true. I was doing nothing. But she continued to stare at me and smiled fixedly until I lowered my eyes and started to move away. Wait, what? Do you know what that is? She asked slyly and touched the apple Eve held in her fingers. An apple. No, she said, smiling more intensely. That. She thrust her face close to mine and almost whispered, That is a forbidden fruit. She enunciated each syllable slowly and somehow dreadfully. That is the forbidden fruit. What kind of fruit? I asked, backing away. She stopped smiling and looked steadily at me, her eyes growing wider and wider, and then with a kind of hushed violence, as when she would tell me about the murders in the Rue Morgue, and about an insane man who howled and swung a club in a nearby alley. On moonless nights she told me about the Garden of Eden, and about the tree and the serpent, and about the man Adam, and the woman Eve, and the forbidden fruit, she said, at last, in a harsh, flat whisper. His sin. Sin, she whispered. The word again and gazed balefully at the little marble statue of Eve. I followed her gaze with dread, knowing all at once that sin was not any kind of fruit, but something else. Something that filled me with alarm and grief, because I loved Eve, and as I stared, she only looked past me with her blind marble eyes and smiled. I suppose it was the first time in my life I experienced sorrow, for I remembered the strangeness of what I felt, regret and helplessness, and a deeper love, sin. My mind tried to embrace the word and find its meaning, for it belonged to Eve now, but I could not grasp it, so I said the word to myself and listened to it. Sin. It was beautiful. It was a word like rain and sleep, lovely, but of sorrowful loveliness. Sin. It was lovely and sorrowful, and it belonged to Eve. Victoria, who had been watching me, asked with a sudden riving delight. Do you know what sin is? No, I said, wishing fiercely that she would go away. And I won't tell you, she said slyly. You're much too little to know. For a time after that, I was so preoccupied with the vague sorrow that surrounded Eve that I went to the room only out of reluctant sense of duty. I felt that I might somehow console her, but there she would be, holding the apple in her delicate fingers, smiling, and I wondered how she could be smiling with sorrow all around her. I looked long at her until her smile almost hypnotized me. And all at once it occurred to me that she did not know about sin, poor little Eve. She didn't even know that sin was all around her, belonging to her. She was the only white and beautiful and smiling. But as Christmas drew near, I went to her again, as I had gone before, out of need. I went to consider the curious and wonderful things I had seen in the German toy story over on Amsterdam Avenue. There was the old German himself, fat and gentle and sad. My grandmother had told me people had stopped going to his store during the First World War because the Americans and the Germans were enemies, and I hoped earnestly that he did not think I was his enemy. Eve smiled. She knew that I wasn't, and she smiled about the bold colors of the toys trimmed in gold, and about the ugly laughing faces of the carved wooden dolls. Too real for dolls' faces, but more like the faces of dried, shrunken little people, as Victoria said they were. Someone who had made the grand tour had brought home, along with the laces and lava carvings and watercolor scenes of Cairo, an exquisitely small miniature in which the infant Christ lay wrapped in swaddled clothes. His arms were flung out bravely and his palms were open. He was always taken from the box at Christmas time and placed on a low table where I might play with him if I did not take him from the table. But he was so small and beautiful and brave looking that I could not bring myself to play with him as I would a toy. Overcome with enchantment one afternoon, I took him up and carried him across the room to Eve. I held him up before her blind marble eyes, and she smiled. It was a tremendous relief to have her smile at him. I looked regretfully at the apple and turned away from her. I held the baby Christ close to my lips and whispered the lovely sorrowful word to him. Sin. But little and brave as ever, with his arms flung out and his palms open, he seemed not to have heard me. The night I wandered aimlessly. The night I wandered aimlessly. Ah, down to the basement where the kitchen was, and when I approached the kitchen door in the darkness of the hall, I bumped into Victoria, who was standing at the closed door, listening to the hum of the voices that came from inside the kitchen. She grabbed me and quickly clamped her hand over my mouth. Go, she whispered fiercely. Go back. But I was frightened, and I clung to her helplessly, still holding her hand over my mouth. She led me back down the hall and up the dark stairs, stumbling into the hall above. By that time I was crying, and she tried to quiet me, still whispering fiercely. Listen, she hissed. If you won't tell you saw me there. This is how it's written. If you won't tell you saw me there, I'll tell you something horrible. I won't tell, I said in her I see. I said into her palm. I hadn't thought of telling. I was too frightened. Frightened. Do you know who that was in the kitchen? It was Molly. Molly, I remembered, was to come that night. My grandmother had put Chris' new bills in an envelope and had said that Molly was coming for her Christmas present. Molly, said Victoria, was crying. A horrible thing had happened. Her daughter. She stared at me with wide, frightened eyes that I wanted to turn from but couldn't. Her daughter sinned. Wow. What do you mean? I asked in alarm, thinking of Eve. I was afraid I was going to cry again, and I clenched my fists and doubled up my toes so that I wouldn't. She had a baby. She looked hard at me, fierce and accusing. I backed away from her. You won't tell Ola you saw me there? How did she sin? I asked, thinking of the brave baby, and Eve gleamed in the dark corner, smiling at him. She had a baby, I told you, she replied impatiently, and then, as she looked to me, an expression of evasion, cunning, crept into her eyes. King David sinned also. King David in the Bible? I asked. Yes. Now promise you won't tell you saw me. I promise, I said. I tried to remember something about King David, but all I could think of was the beginning of a poem. King David and King Solomon led merry lives. He sounded happy and grand like old King Cole was a merry old soul. I tried to imagine how the sadness of sin belonged to him. I wondered if he held an apple like Eve. I didn't think he could have a baby like Molly's daughter. I thought about sin, and I lay in bed that night sniffling the lavender scent of the sheets. I whispered the word to myself, carefully separating it from the other words, and considering all that I knew about it. Eve held sin in her slender fingers and looked past it. With blind marble eyes, Molly's daughter sinned. I wondered if she was as beautiful as Eve. She sinned and had a baby, a little brave baby, with his arms flung out and his palms open wide. Sinned. Why, it was hardly sorrowful at all. When my grandmother came in to say good night, I sat up to kiss the fragrant velvet cheek and whispered privately, What did King David do? What did King David do? King David played his harp, she answered gaily, and it sounded like the beginning of a song. King David played his harp. He sinned and played his harp. Lovely, lovely sin, he played his harp. Slowly, as at first, and then swiftly, the remains of the vague sorrow spiraled out of sight, and rejoicing came up in its place. Over and over I beheld them, bright in the dark, on a hidden merry-go-round, swinging past me, friendly and gay. King David holding aloft his harp. Molly's daughter, little baby, with his arms flung out so bravely, and brightest of all came Eve, with her apple, smiling and shining with sin. Now that was terrifying. Oh goodness. Don't eat the sin apple. Eyes are gonna go weird. Oh, I'm excited about this one. It's called There Will Come Soft Rains. Oh, that one clanker. I use my lunar coins every now and then. Thank you for watching. What was I reading? I was reading 21 Great Stories. 21 Great Stories. It's a great storybook of short stories, and that was called Even Darkness. So, a bit terrifying. These stories are quite short, but it gives you a lot to think about if you think about them. Oh, now, there will come soft rains. If only I could prop this up better. Alright, here we go. When Ray Bradbury wrote, there will come soft rains," he set it 35 years into the future, but now 1985 is uncomfortably close, and the events described in the story are all the more terrifying. There are no words of terror in the telling. There's only clear, restraining, objective descriptions of a scene from which humanity is excluded. In this masterpiece of understatement, we are shown myriad examples of man's ingenuity and imagination. He has been able to create for himself a world in which all the little problems have been solved, but these do not matter. Bradbury tells us by implication it is the problem of man's own conflicts that demands resolution. The alternative is as chilling as are the events in the story. So another scary story they're gonna hit us with right after that one. How cruel. Oh man. I don't have any more of those things. I'm gonna get over here and then we'll start going on the book again. Okay. The house was a good house and had been planned, built by the people who were to live in it. That was too soon. I start reading too soon. In the 19 wait. In the year 1980, the house was like many other houses. It says the house was like many other house in the book. In that year, it fed and slept and entertained its inhabitants and made a good life for them. The man and wife and their 2 children lived at ease there and lived happily. Even while the world trembled, all the fine things of the living room and the warm things, music, poetry, books, and talks, and talked beds that warmed and made themselves fires that built themselves in the fireplace of evenings were in this house, and living there with was a contentment. Oh man, what a dream. Contentment. Wow. Right. Mm-hmm. And then one day the world shook, and there was an explosion, followed by 10,000 explosions, and red fire in the sky, and a rain of ashes and radioactivity. And the happy times were over. In the living room, the voice clock sang tick tock, 7 a.m. o'clock. Time to get up, as if it were afraid of nobody. As if it were afraid nobody would. The house lay empty. The clock. The clock. Saying tick-tock. The kitchen stove sighed and ejected from the clock talked on into the empty morning. The kitchen stove sighed and ejected from its warm interior 8 eggs, sunny side up, 12 bacon slices, 2 coffees, and 2 cups of hot cocoa. 7-9. Breakfast time. 7-9. Today is April 28th, 1985, said a phonograph voice in the kitchen ceiling. Today, remember, is Mr. Featherstone's birthday. Insurance, gas, light, and water bills are due. Okay. Somewhere in the walls, relays, clicks, memory tapes glided under electric eyes. Recorded voices moved beneath steel needles. 8-1, run, run, off to school, off to work, run, run, tick-tock, 8-1, 8 o'clock. But no door slammed, no carpets took the quick tread of rubber hills. Outside it was raining. The voice of the weather box on the front door sang quietly, rain, rain, go away, rubber's raincoats for today. And the rain tapped on the roof. At 8:30, the eggs were shriveled, an aluminum wedge scraped into the sink, where the hot water whirled, and down a metal throat, which digested and flushed them away into the distant sea. 9:15, said the clock. Time to clean. 9:15, said the clock. Out of the warrens in the wall, tiny mechanical mice darted. The room were a-crawl with the small cleaning animals. All rubber and metal, they sucked up the hidden dust and popped back in their burrows. 10 o'clock, the sun came out from behind the rain. The houses stood alone on a street where all the other houses were rubble and ashes. At night, the ruined town gave off a radioactive glow, which could be seen for miles. 10:15, the garden sprinkler filled the soft morning air with golden fountains. The water tinkled over the charred west side of the house, where it had been scorched evenly free of its white paint. The entire face of the house was black, save for 5 places. Here the silhouette in paint of a man mowing a lawn. Here a woman bent to pick flowers. Still further over their images burned on the wood. In one titanic instant, a small boy, hands flung in the air. Higher up, the image of the thrown ball in the opposite air. Higher up, the image of a thrown ball, and the opposite him a girl, her hands raised to catch the ball, which never came down. The 5 spots of paint, the man, the woman, the boy, the girl, and the ball remained. The rest was a thin layer of charcoal. The gentle rain of the sprinkler filled the garden with falling light. Until this day, how well the house had kept its peace, how carefully it had asked, "Who goes there?" and getting no reply. From rains and lonely foxes and whining cats, it had shut up its windows and drawn the shades. If a sparrow brushed the window, the shade snapped up. The what? Oh. There's some notes on this page from a blue pin. I'll read them as I get to them. The birds startled flew off. No, not even an evil bird must touch the house. And inside the house was like an altar with 9,000 robot attendants. big and small, servicing, attending, singing, and chores, choirs. Even though the gods had gone away and the ritual was meaningless, the dog whined, shivering on the front porch. The front porch recognized the dog's voice. That poor dog. The world ended, and he's just sitting there on the front porch, whining and shivering. That poor dog. I told you this was a horror book. Jeez. It's supposed to be like short stories, but they didn't say horror stories. You realize that their world just ended and their house lay desolate? That's creepy to think about. When we're all gone, all the world's just gonna be like, just sitting there, just doing nothing, collecting dust. As the animals like retake population and survive, I guess. Plants, maybe? Yeah. Be interesting, right? Okay. Whew. Hmm. Behind were the angry robot mice, angry to having a picked up mud and maple leaves, which carried to the burrow, were dropped down cellar tubes into an ink incinerator, which sat like an evil bale in the dark corner. The dog ran upstairs, hysterically yelping at each door. It pawed the kitchen door wildly. Behind the door, the stove was making pancakes, which filled the whole house with their odor. The dog frothed, ran insanely, spun in a circle, biting its tail, and died. Wow, such dark psychological imagery. It lay in the living room for 1 hour. Wow. 1 o'clock. Delicately sensing decay, the regiments of mice hummed out of the walls, soft as blown leaves, their electric eyes glowing. 1:15. The dog was gone. The cellar incinerator glowed suddenly, and a whirl of sparks leaped up the flue. 2:35. Bridge tables sprouted from the patio walls, playing cards, fluttering onto pads in the shower of pips. Mar- Martinis appeared on an oaken branch. They just like appeared like magic, man. Didn't know there was magic in the future too. Sounds awesome. It's all technology. Technology can make things appear out of thin air at some point. Oh wait, was that like that? What is it called? It's like a computer 3D printer or something? Yeah, we have something like that, right? I don't think it's out of thin air, but it's out. It's doing something. Anyway, where's I? The bridge tables sprouted out from the patio walls. Playing cards fluttered into the pads of the shower pips. Martinis appeared on the oaken bench. But the tables were silent, the cards untouched. At 4:30, the tables folded back into the walls. 5 o'clock, the bathtubs filled the clear hot water. A 5 o'clock. Wait. Um. 5 o'clock, the bathtubs filled with clear hot water. A safety razor dropped into a wall mold ready. 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Dinner made, ignored, and flushed away. Dishes washed. And in the study, the tobacco stand produced a cigar. Around half an inch of gray ash on it, smoking, waiting. The hearth fire boomed up all by itself out of nothing. 9 o'clock, the beds began to warm their hidden in circuits for the night was cool. A gentle click in the study wall. A voice spoke from above the crackling fireplace. Mr. McClellan, what poem would you like to hear this evening? The house was silent. Oh, I remember reading this. The voice said, since you express no preference, I'll pick a poem at random. Quiet music rose. Behind the voice, Sarah Teasdale, a favorite of yours, as I recall. No. Let's get this, and there we go. There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pools singing at night, and the wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on the low fence wire, and not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when all is done. Not one will mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. Okay. I think I'm out of bounds. In fact, that's crazy, bro. Crazy. The voice finished the poem. The empty chairs faced each other between the silent walls, and the music played. At 10 o'clock, the house began to die. The wind down, the bought out of a falling tree smashed the kitchen window. Cleaning solvent bottle crashed on the stove. Fire! Screamed voices. Fire! Water pumps shot down on water from the ceilings, but the solvent spread under the doors, making fire as it went, while other voices took up the alarm in choir. Okay. We gotta find the teleporter soon. The windows broke with heat, and the wind blew in to help the fire, scurrying water rats. Their copper wheels spinning, squeak from the walls, squirted their water, ran for more. From squirt. Squirtle. Squirtle. uh, there you go. Squirt, squirt. Skirt. Skirt, skirt. I got that money in my pocket. Skirt, skirt. What the hell? Skibashity bang bang. Bang bang into the room. Oh god, no. Why that song got so big? Oh my god. Some wow. And then a bunch of other songs of Bang Bang and the title came out. I saw mommy banging Santa Claus underneath the mistletoe as well. What? That's probably a parody like that. This is a PG channel. I forgot. I forgot. We don't have adult jokes here. Whoa. Is that an adult joke, or are adult jokes just insensitive jokes? Okay. Hmm. The windows broke with heat and the wind blew in. Wait. Um, Scurrying water rats or copper, a spinning squeaked from the walls, squirted their water, and ran for more. Too late. Somewhere a pump stopped. The ceiling sprays stopped raining. The reserved water supply, which had filled baths and washed dishes for many silent days, was gone. The fire crackled upstairs. 8 paintings lay hungrily in their beds. It devoured every room. The house was shuddering, oak bone on bone, the barred skeleton cringing from the heat, all the wires revealing as if a surgeon had torn the skin off to let the red veins quiver in the scalding air. Voices screamed, "Help! Help! Fire! Run!" Windows snapped open and shut like mouths undecided. "Fire! Run!" The voices wailed in tragic nursery rhymes, and the silly Greek chords faded as the sound winded. Wind popped their sheathings. 10 dozen high. 10 dozen high, shrieking voices died as emergency batteries melted. In the other parts of the house, in the last instant under the fire avalanche, other choruses could be heard announcing the time, the weather appointments, diets, playing music, reading poetry in the fiery study. Well, hold on. I am almost done with this. I am done with this now. Ay, 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 yeah. Okay. In other parts of the house, in the last instant under the fire avalanche, other choruses could be heard announcing the time, the weather, appointments, diets, playing music, reading poetry in the fiery study, while doors opened and slammed, and umbrellas appeared in the door and put themselves away. A thousand things happening like the interior of a clock shop at midnight. All clock, all clock striking a merry-go-round of squeaking, whispering, rushing, until the film spools were burned and fell, and all the wires withered and the circuits cracked. In the kitchen, an instant before the final collapse, the stoves hysterically hissing could be seen making breakfasts at a psychopathic rate. 10 dozen pancakes, 6 dozen loaves of toast. The crash, the attic smashing kitchen down. I missed it. In the kitchen, an instant before the final collapse, the stove hysterically hissing could be seen making break. Yes. The crash, the attic smashing kitchen down into the cellar and subcellar, deep freeze, armchairs, film, tapes, beds were thrown into a clutter mound deep under smoke and silence. Dawn shone faintly in the east. In the ruins, one wall stood alone. Within the wall, a voice said over and over, again and again, even as the sun rose to shine upon the heaped rubble and steam. Today is April 29th, 1985. Today is April 29th, 1985. Today is. Oh, that's the end of that book. Did you guys. Were you immersed? I mean, I had to stop a couple of times, of course. Did it feel like like a god staring upon the ruins of a fallen civilization, or something? That's what I feel like sometimes. Uh, Tobamori Saki. And Tobamori Saki looks at correct English society through the eyes of the family cat who listens and observes and then tells the truths that he reveals cannot of course be tolerated. It is too much to ask that we look at ourselves as our cat sees us. It is to Tobermory's credit, however, that he keeps his feline silence until human beings press him with questions, and then he gives the honest answers they do not want to hear. Nor can Tobermory's dignity be assailed by the brittle people he consents to live with. It is not insignificant that he manages his own destiny. Saki, whose biting humor is evident throughout this story, was also a master of horror tale. Tobermory is a fascinating blend of humorous and sinister. Alright. This is gonna get intense. I really need to find a teleporter though. I'm gonna find it and then I'm gonna read the next story. Tobamori. Oh, where is it gonna be? Is it over here? Nope, but there's an item. That helps a lot. Oh, there's another one. That helps, kind of. No. If only I'd been paying attention, I'd know where the teleporter is by now, I bet. Never mind, I could read it now. Tobamori. It was a chill, rain-washed afternoon of a late August day, that indefinite season when patronage are still in security or cold storage. And there is nothing to hunt, unless one is bounded on the north by the Bristol Channel, in which case one may lawfully gallop after fat red stags. Lady Blemley's house party was not bounded on the north by Bristol Channel, hence there was a full gathering of her guests round the tea table on this particular afternoon. Ooh, sounds serious. And in spite of the blankness of the season and the triteness of the occasion, triteness, triteness, is it bitterness? Triteness. That sounds negative. You would think a tea party would be a positive thing or something. Anyway. There was no trace in the company of the fatigue, restlessness, which means a dredge of the pianola, and a subdued hankering for auction bridge. The undisguised, open-mouthed attention of the entire party was fixed on the homely negative personality of Mr. Cornelius Appin. Of all her guests, he was the one who had to come to the Lady Blemley with the guest's reputation. Some, wait, someone had said he was clever, and he had got his invitation in a moderate expectation on the part of his hostess, that some portion at least of his cleverness would be contributed to the general entertainment. Until tea time that day, she had been unable to discover in which direction, if any, his cleverness lay. Right? Getting a lot of stuff here. He was neither a wit nor a croquet champion, a hypocrite force, nor a begetter of amateur theatrics. Neither did his exterior suggest the sort of man in whom women were willing to pardon a generous measure of mental deficiency. He had subsided into mere Mr. Appin, and the Cornelius seemed a piece of transparent baptismal bluff, and now he was claiming to have launched on a world a discovery beside which the invention of gunpowder, of the printing press, and of the steam locomotive were inconsiderable trifles. Science had made bewildering strides in many different directions recently. Now, if only I could find that portal. And now he was claiming to have launched on the world of discovery, beside which the invention of yes, had made bewildering strides in many directions. Yes. Decades, but this thing seemed to belong in the domain of miracle rather than to the scientific achievement. And do you really ask us to believe, Sir Wilfrid, was saying that you have discovered a means for instructing animals in the art of human speech, and that dear old Tobermory has proved your first successful pupil? Oh, so the first talking animal is Tobermory. Right. So he is a deer. He is a deer. Nice to meet him. Um, wonder what he's gonna say. And do you really ask us to believe, Sir Wilfrid, was saying that you have discovered the means? Yes. I just have to reposition this. And we can keep this open. All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought it was all fun. Pop goes the weasel. It's not creepy, it's a nursery rhyme. It's just a nursery rhyme. Babies listen to this stuff. Get over yourself. Yeah, it's not that scary. Oh. Wait, da da da. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh no, she's delving into madness again. Oh no. It's happening. Pop goes the weasel. Bow. It is a problem for which I worked for the last 17 years. Oh man, I hear it. Yeah. Okay. No, that's a hard tip. I never liked this map that much. It's an okay map. It's gloomy. Kind of looks like the elephant graveyard on the side here. The bones and stuff. Looks okay. Right. It's just the color. Looks like gold, right? Definitely gold, for sure. Okay. Build a better map. If you don't like this map, you could build a better map. You could build a better map. And you could build a better map. It's a better map, huh? This map sucks, but you could build a better map, huh? Okay. Bug annihilated. Okay. Hmm. Said Mr. Appin. But only during the last 8 or 9 months have I been rewarded with glimmers of success. Of course, I have experimented with thousands of animals, but latterly only with cats. Those wonderful creatures which have assimilated what, themselves so marvelously with our civilization, as if it's their job to do that. He's not wrong. Yep, they fit in very well, cats do. Yes. Yay. I just want to know what's gonna say, though. Why do cats have to tell us? Meow. Wow, man. Could have gotten that information from any cat. I had to get it from you. Do you think animals will evolve to talk? And then you'll just basically have a roommate who cannot pay bills instead of a dog. I wonder if they'll establish boundaries. Like, you can't cut my nails. Would you treat your dog like a child? If I guess it depends on how he acted, right? If you had a dog that could talk, man. And what if he's a chatterbox? What if you can't sleep at night, man? What if you're just trying to get some sleep and then you hear, pfft, hey, pfft, hello, woof woof, I'm a dog, or something like that. What if he said, hey, sorry to bother you, but can I have some water? Like out of a bottle, you know, not like in a tin that you put on the floor, but can you can you just give me like a regular bottle of water or something, please? I don't want to drink out of the tin anymore. Can you help me with that? I don't have hands, you see. Uh oh, and instead of making me eat off the floor and stuff, like can you I don't know, let me sit and eat at the table with you? Yeah, like can you put a plate out for me? I could be like one with the family. You know, like Brian from Family Guy. He sits and eats at the table too. I've seen that show. So I know that happens. I know that's a thing. So you could stop making me eat off the floor and I can eat the table like everyone else. Cuz dog equality rights. Okay. Next, they're going to be asking to vote. And then they'll be running for president. And then, well, who knows? What happens if a dog runs for president? It probably, don't bomb us. We have a dog as president. That's like the cutest thing ever. We're making big steps here. Okay. Hmm. I just want to get out of this map. It is dreadful to look at. And the music just makes it even more dreary because it's like a swamp, you know? It's like a swampy map, so the music being like this sludgy tone, wah wah wah, it's like so, makes it all muddy and sludgy and achy. Oh boy. I mean, it matches the tone of the map very well. Like, it's not my favorite, you know? It's not my favorite tone for the map. I actually like the lava map, the one that I die in the most. That one's great. You could get a red item there, which I forgot to try last time I was there. So, oh, maybe if I would have had that, I wouldn't have died so easily. Something to think about. I do want to hear more about that talking. What was it again? It's like a sheep or something. Mori or something. Bruh. What's he gonna say? What's he gonna say? Yeah. Um, oh, this music for the fight. This is pretty good though. I like that. That one. That was pretty great. I don't know how you guys can hear it over my smoothly sweet voice. I wonder where they're all going over there. Like, I'm over here, man. What you doing? They're just running away from me. I guess that's a good thing. I feel like this should be dead already, huh? Let's go ahead, finish that one off. I think we should do, like... Yeah, hi guys. You decided to just show back up, I see. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. That's what I was trying to get this whole time. Oh, I guess I could have left. There's no items or anything. Oh no, maybe that's the gold item or something. No. That was from a ship. And we already got it. So. Okay. I say I never use these. Let's see what we got. Hello, thing. Oh, I used one. No. I don't want any of this. Can you just give me the one I want? This one. Yes. Alright, thank you. This is the one I get the most. Let's see if I can stand in place and read this book while I do this. Oh, maybe I should have waited till I had more health. Ooh. Okay. Standing in place is never the best thing for these. Maybe the first stage I can make it through. Yeah. See, it's very difficult. This first one. Oh. Maybe I should focus on this for a little bit more. We can hear about the talking sheep or something. Is it gonna tell me ba? Ba? Bye bye? Bye bye, sheep? It's not a sheep, is it? This one. We. Oh, well, I'm gonna die. It had to be these. It had to be these. That they had to really pull those out, man. Bruh. Ooh. I like people that win. I think this is going to be the last one I read because I'm not gonna get for 21 of these. My brain is going to fry. Though I feel like it was a nice stream. I feel like it was a nice stream. We had some laughs, some Risk of Rain too. It's great, you know. We had a book, nice horror, uh, 21 great stories, masterpieces they call them. Okay. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this page so I don't have to squint to read these words on this side that flip into the other page. It is a problem at which I worked on for the last 17 years, said Mr. Appin. But only during the last 8 or 9 months had I been rewarded with glimmerings of success. Of course, I had experimented with thousands of animals, but latterly only with cats, those wonderful creatures which have assimilated themselves so marvelously with our civilization, until retaining all their highly developed feral instincts. Here and there among cats, one comes across an outstanding superior intellect, just as one does among the ruck of human beings. And when I made the acquaintance of Tobermory a week ago, I saw at once that I was in contact with a beyond cat of extraordinary intelligence. I had gone far along the road to success in recent experiments, which Tobermory, as you call him, I have reached the goal. Mr. Appin concluded his remarkable statement in a voice which he strove to divest of triumph's inflection. No one, said Rats, though Clovis's lips moved in a monosyllabic contortion, while probably invoked those rodents of disbelief. And do you mean to say, asked Mr. Resker, after a slight pause, that you have taught Tobermory to say and understand EDC sentences of one syllable? This, my dear Mr. Resker, said the wonderful wonder worker patiently, one teaches little children and savages and backwards adults in at piecemeal fashion. When one has once solved the problem of making a beginning with an animal of highly developed intelligence, one has no need for those halting methods. Tobermory can speak our language with perfect correctness. This was Clovis very distinctly said, beyond rats. Sir Wilfrid was more polite, but equally skeptical. Hadn't we better have the cat in and judge for ourselves? Suggests Lady Blemley. Sir Wilfrid went in search of the animal, and the company settled themselves down to a languid explanation. Languid? Languid? Expectation of witnessing some more or less adroit drawing room ventriloquism. In a minute, Sir Wilfrid was back in the room, his face white beneath its tan, and his eyes dilated with excitement. By God, it's true! His agitation was unmistakably genuine, and his hearers started forward in a thrill of awakened interest. Collapsing into an armchair, he continued breathlessly. I found him dozing in the smoking room, and called out to him to come for his tea. He blinked at me in his unusual way, and I said, "Come on, Toby, don't keep us waiting." And by God, he drawled out in the most horribly natural voice that he'd come when he dashed well pleased. I nearly jumped out of my skin. Appin, oh my God, I need to watch where I'm going. Appin had preached to absolutely incredulous hearers. Sir Wilfrid's statement carried instant conviction. A babble-like chorus of startled explanation arose, in which the scientist sat mutely, enjoying. Not getting that monster thing. Absolutely not. I'm not getting that stealth kit. I did. Okay. Okay, we might have to do this now. Okay, it's not that bad. Sir Wilfrid's statement carried instant conviction. A babble-like chorus of startled explanation arose, amid which the scientist sat mutely enjoying the first fruit of his stupendous discovery. In the midst of the clamor, Tobermory entered the room and made his way with velvet tread and studied unconcern across to the group seated round the tea table. A sudden hush of awkwardness and constraint fell on the company. Somehow, there seemed an element of embarrassment in addressing, on equal terms, a domestic cat of acknowledged mental ability. "Will you have some milk, Tobermory?" asked Lady Blemley in a rather strained voice. "I don't mind if I do," was the response, couched in a tone of even indifference. A shiver of suppressed excitement went through the listeners, and Lady Blemley, it might be excused, for pouring out the saucerful of milk rather unsteadily. "I'm afraid I've spilt a good deal of it," she said apologetically. "After all, it's not my ex-minister," was Tobermory's rejoinder. What does that mean? After all, it's not my Axminster. Axminster? Was Tobermory's rejoinder. Another silence fell on the group, and then Miss Urquhart, in her best district visitor manner, asked if the human language had been difficult to learn. You think it was? You think it's difficult for a cat to learn the human language? Looked squarely at her for a moment, then fixed his gaze serenely in the middle distance. It was obvious that boring questions lay outside of his scheme of life. What's his scheme? What do you, wait, what do you think of human intellect? Asked Mavis Pellington lamely. Oh, so we're in the cat's mind, and the cat is just like... Okay, we're just gonna finish this, because I want to see it. Forget Risk of Rain. This is no longer a Risk of Rain stream. In fact, it's the reading the rest of the story stream. Stream ending. There we go. Here we go. Let's end the book. Thank you guys so much for watching if you made it through this. It was an interesting stream. I've never done something like this before. It was nice to share some of my favorite tales of horror and shortness. Okay. Of whose intelligence in particular? Asked Tobermory coldly. Oh, well, mine, for instance, said Mavis with a feeble laugh. You put me in an embarrassing position, said Tobermory, whose tone and attitude certainly did not suggest a shred of embarrassment. When your inclusion in this house party was suggested, Sir Wilfrid protested that you were the most brainless woman of his acquaintance, and that there was a wide distinction between hospitality and the care of the feeble-minded. Lady Blemley replied that your lack of brain power was the precise quality which had earned you your invitation, as you were the only person she could think of who might be idiotic enough to buy their old car. You know, the one they call the envy of Sisyphus. Because it was good, it goes quite nicely uphill if you push it. Lady Blumley's protestations would have had much greater effect if she had not casually suggested to Mavis only that morning that the car in question should be just the thing for her down at the Devonshire home. Major Barfield plunged in heavy to effect a diversion. How about your carryings on and your tortoise shell up at the stables, eh? The moment he had said it, everyone realized the blunder. One does not usually discuss these matters in public, said Tobermory frigidly. From a slight observation of your ways since you've been in this house, I should imagine that you'd find it inconvenient if I were to shift the conversation on to your own little affairs. The panic which ensued was not confined to the Major. Would you like to go and see if cook had got your dinner ready? Suggested Lady Blemley hurriedly, affecting to ignore the fact that it wanted at least 2 hours to Tobermory's. To ignore the fact that it wanted at least 2 hours to Tobermory's dinner time. Thanks, said Tobermory. Not quite so soon. After my tea, I don't want to die of indigestion. Cats have 9 lives, you know, said Sir Wilfrid heartily. Possibly, answered Tobermory, but only 1 liver. Adelaide, said Mr. Cornet, do you mean to encourage the cat to go out and gossip about us in the servants' hall? The panic had indeed become general. A narrow ornamental balustrade ran in front of most of the bedroom, that this had formed a favorite promenade for Tobermory at all hours, whence he could watch the pigeons, and heaven knew what else besides. If he intended to become reminiscent in his present outspoken strain, the effect would be something more disconcerting. Miss Cornet, who had spent much time at the table, and whose complexion was reputed to be of a nomadic thought, punctual disposition, looked as ill at ease at ease as the Major's Miss Scrawwen, who wrote fiercely sensuous poetry and led a blameless life, merely displayed irritation. If you are methodical and virtuous in private, you don't necessarily want everyone to know it. Bertie Van Tye, who was so depraved at 17 that he had long ago given up trying to be any worse, turned a dull shade of gargantuan white, room like Odo Finsbury, a young gentleman who was understood to be reading for the church, and who was possibly disturbed at the thought of scandals he might hear concerning other people. Clovis had the presence of a calculating wait, of mind to maintain a composed exterior. Privately, he was calculating how long it would take to procure a box of fancy mice through the agency of the Exchange and Mart, as a species of hush money. Even in a delicate situation like the present, Agnes Resker could not endure to remain too long in the background. "Why did I ever come down here?" she asked dramatically. Tobermory immediately accepted the opening. "Judging by what you said to Mrs. Cornett, on the crocheted lawn yesterday, you were out for food. You described the Blemleys as the dullest people to stay with that you knew, and said that they were clever enough to employ a first-rate cook. However, they find it difficult to get anyone to come down a second time." "There's not a word of truth in it. I appeal to Miss Cornett," uh, exclaimed the discomfited Agnes. "Miss Cornett repeated your remark afterwards to Bertie Van Tye," continued Tobermory, "and said that woman is a regular hunger muncher. She go anywhere for 4 square meals a day. And Bertie Van Tye said—" At this point, the chronicle mercifully ceased. Tobermory had caught a glimpse of the big yellow Tom from the rectory, working his way through the shrubbery towards the stable wing. In a flash he had vanished through the open French window. With the disappearance of his brilliant pupil, Cornelius Appin found himself beset by the hurricane of bitter upbraiding, anxious inquiry, and frightened entreaty. The responsibility for the situation lay with him, and he must prevent matters from becoming worse. Could Tobermory impart his dangerous gift to other cats? Was the first he might have initially was the first question he had to answer. It was impossible. It was possible he replied, that he might have initiated his intimate friend, the stable cat, to his new accomplishment. But it was unlikely that his teaching could have taken a wider range as yet. "Then," said Mrs. Cornett, "Tobermory may be a valuable cat and a great pet, but I'm sure you'll agree, Adelaide, that both he and the stable cat must be done away with without delay." "You don't suppose I've enjoyed the last quarter of an hour, do you?" said Lady Bemley bitterly. "My husband and I are very fond of Tobermory. At least we were, before this horrible accomplishment was infused into him. But now, of course, the only thing is to have him destroyed as soon as possible. We can put some strychnine in his scraps. He always gets at dinner time," said Sir Wilfrid. "And I will go and drown the stable cat myself. The coachman will be very sore at losing his pet, but I'll say a very catching form of mange had broken out in both cats, and were afraid of it spreading to the kennels. But my great discovery," expostulated Mr. Appin, "after all my years of research and experiment. You can go and experiment on the shorthorns at the farm, who are under proper control," said Miss Cornett, "or the elephants at the zoological gardens. They're to be the highly intelligent, and they have this recommendation, that they don't come creeping about our bedrooms and under chairs and so forth." An archangel ecstatically proclaiming the millennium, and then, finding that it clashed unpardonably with Henley and would have to be indefinitely postponed, could hardly have felt more crestfallen than Cornelia Sapin. At the reception of his wonderful achievement, public opinion, however, was against him. In fact, had the general voice been consulted on the subject, it is probable that a strong minority vote would have been in favor of including him in the strychnine diet. Defective train arrangements and a nervous desire to see matters brought to a finish prevented immediate dispersal of the party, but dinner that evening was not a social success. Sir Wilfrid had rather a trying time with a stable cat, and subsequently with the coachman. Agnes Resker ostentatiously limited her repast to a morsel of dry toast, which she bit as though it were a personal silence through the meal. Lady Blemley kept up a flow of what she hoped was conversation, but her attitude was fixed on the doorway. A plateful of carefully dosed fish scraps was in readiness at the sideboard, but sweets and savoury and dessert went their way, and no Tobermory appeared either in the dining room or kitchen. The sepulchral dinner was cheerfully compared with the subsequent vigil in the smoking room. Eating and drinking had at least supplied a distraction and cloak to the prevailing embarrassment. Bridge was out of the question in the general tension of nerves and tempers, and after Odo Finsbury had given a lugubrious rendering of Melisande in the Wood to a frigid audience, music was tactfully avoided. At 11 the servants went to bed, announcing that the small window in the pantry had been left open as usual for Tobermory's private use. The guests read steadily through the current batch of magazines, and fell back gradually on the Badminton Library and bound volumes of Punch. Lady Blemley made periodic visits to the pantry, returning each time with an expression of listless depression which forestalled questioning. At 2 o'clock Clovis broke the dominating silence. "He won't turn up tonight. He's probably in the local newspaper office at the present moment, dictating the first installment of his reminiscence. Lady What's-her-name's book won't be in it. It will be the event of the day." Having made this contribution to the general cheerfulness, Clovis went to bed. At long intervals the various members of the house party followed his example. The servants taking round the early tea made a uniform announcement in a reply to the uniform question. Tobermory had not returned. Breakfast was, if anything, a more unpleasant function than dinner had been. But before its conclusion the situation was relieved. Tobermory's corpse was brought in from the shrubbery, where a gardener had just discovered it. From the bites on his throat and the yellow fur which coated his claws, it was evident that he had fallen in an unequal combat with the big Tom from the rectory. By midday most of the guests had quitted the Towers, and after lunch Lady Blemley had sufficiently recovered her spirits to write an extremely nasty letter to the rectory about the loss of her valuable pet. Tobermory had been Appin's one successful pupil, and he was destined to have no successor. A few weeks later, an elephant in the Dresden Zoological Garden, which had shown no previous sign of irritability, broke loose and killed an Englishman who had apparently been teasing it. The victim's name was variously reported in the papers as Oppen the Epinlin, but his front name was faithfully rendered Cornelius. If he was trying German irregular verbs on the poor beast, said Clovis, he deserved all he got. All right. Poor, you tell the truth. You tell what you hear. You get killed for it. That's what I take from that. People ask questions, you tell the truth, and you die. especially if they're the unpleasant ones, and then you're just like telling the truth. It's all your fault for saying, what exactly happened. Great book. Great book. Anyway, that's it. That's it for today. It's been a while since we did a stream or anything, so thank you if you guys watched this far. If you made it, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next stream or video or something. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.